Hello and welcome back to Traffic Talks. For those of you who are new, my name is Pyro and I talk about the things going on in my life or around us, usually with a lesson thrown in and maybe even a few tips that can help you and just a ton of laughs as well. If this is something you would like, feel free to subscribe to the podcast. And if you want to see what's going on in my life, you can check out my Instagram, which I will have linked below. Thank you and enjoy. So, one of the things that I usually do is a goal update, which I do every 3 months. And considering today is the 31st of August and tomorrow being 1st of September, the start of the next 3 months, I've decided to update you on my goals. Well, at least the 3 months check-in. And it's very similar to the last time, but I'll get there. I usually have 5 points that I check in on, but I've added a 6th one, which is completely unnecessary but completely me. So let's dive right on in. First section, so to speak, is fitness, and this is generally health in terms of diet and fitness, or eating and exercise if you want to put it that way. And to be completely honest, I haven't completely gotten back on the exercise train yet. I have started in on my Sunday stretch, which is basically yoga on a Sunday, and I have been improving my health overall, especially since they say diet is 80%, exercise is 20%. I have adjusted my eating habits accordingly. I tend to focus on that more, especially because mindless eating can be a thing, and I know I like to snack, so I've definitely cut down on that. I've also discovered something incredible, which is oat milk. I used to really be on the Almond Breeze range of milks, which is basically almond milk, but it's really pricey. And as we know, I'll check in with it a bit later in this episode, but finances are a thing. So I've discovered oat milk, which is practically half the price and just as good, if not better. Being someone who shouldn't have a lot of dairy because of my diabetes, having a non-dairy milk product in my life is a game changer, especially because that compared to normal cow's milk just has so much more benefits, especially because it's an oat milk. So I've seen huge improvements just from that one change. And continuing in that same vein, I've made a lot of other small changes, which has caused small improvements, which I'm really happy about, because one of my things that I'm always harping on about is small changes lead to big changes. You don't have to do everything overnight and jump in at the deep end. Sometimes I do, but in this case, slow and steady wins the race, which is why I also started drinking green tea and more water in recent months, which I have kept up. That is definitely a huge win in my books. So I'm not as far in terms of fitness as I wanted to be by this point in the year, but I know my health has taken a knock. You can hear I'm still a bit sick. This past weekend was a madhouse. I had to actually cancel something I had planned with a friend to check in, which once again I'll get into later, but it was just crazy. And if I don't plan things in advance or I feel very rushed, it gives me anxiety and it just ruins my immune system basically. Especially with COVID and things running wild and winter and seasonal changes, I am not 100% back yet, but I am improving. So that's where I'm at fitness wise. Social media is the next block, and I can honestly say I took a break and it has done me wonders, because I'm not someone who's overly on social media, but I had plans for it and those plans fell by the wayside. And then once again, that vicious cycle of anxiety and not performing correctly kind of a thing just grates on me. So the break was well needed just to help me refocus, and I'm going to definitely get back on that bandwagon and be better than ever. I've also been working and finalizing some content. So from September onwards, it's gonna be awesome. So the wait is finally over and you can see what I've been working on. See what I did there? My next goal is to upload at least 40 podcast episodes this year. And so far I'm on par with where I need to be, even including my break of last week. I'm still safe. I know I did not set a ridiculously high goal because I wanted to go at a decent pace Like I said, if I need to take a break, I will. And when I actually checked my uploads and things, I realized I actually uploaded more than 40 episodes last year because I forgot to include my mental health series in the tally, which was basically adding an extra episode every single week for an entire month. I shocked myself with that one, which was fun. And the second section to this particular goal was to get a sponsor. I have been speaking to places and I've got some feedback. However, I'm hopeful, even if they have put me on what feels like a back burner. And I do realize that I'm very early in the game. I'm not on par with a lot of other people. Comparison is the thief of joy, I'm well aware, but facts are facts. I'm not on their level, and trying to get sponsored does feel a bit like kicking against the wall. But for me, I still want to keep trying it because I still get feedback from these people. I'm still learning something in this process. And even if I know I'm going to get rejected, pushing myself to even just try is one step forward because I can always learn something. I can always learn how to interact with a brand. I can always learn a lesson from the rejection, and I can always figure out something new even if I do get rejected. Like one person asked me for my stats. A company asked me about my stats and I was like, well, what exactly do you need? Because I'd never done this before. So I've learned those kinds of things. And to me, it's never a wasted exercise because I can always learn something from it. One thing I've also done is realize that as you go forward, things get better and easier, especially when it comes to the planning, because by the time this episode goes live, I already have 2 episodes recorded, another one in the planning stages, and I'm already moving on in terms of content for my Instagram and things. You always learn something, even if it comes from something negative or what you feel is something negative. I'm getting there. I'm moving forward. Like I was speaking about it earlier, finances and savings are my next section. And this was something that was a bit hard to deal with just because of the effort I needed to put in. And I've been needing to revamp my budget each month for the past few months because one of my main goals is to buy a house by the time I'm 30. And at this point, I'm not even sure what I want to buy as a house. Do I want to buy an apartment? Do I want to buy a townhouse? I'm not sure. But essentially, I want to buy a piece of property and to live in it. And therefore, I need to make sure I'm hitting my savings goals so that I have enough money by the time I turn 30. And it has been a pain to have to double check receipts to make sure I'm not paying for something I didn't buy, to watch what I spend because I tend to overspend or recklessly spend. And that has been a problem. So it's a lot of effort having to reel myself in so harshly, but I know the end goal will be worth it. And one tip I've heard a lot was take your spending money out of your bank account and keep it in cash and use only that. And that tip has worked wonders for me because knowing you only have a certain amount of cash in your wallet to spend on whatever you want is going to make you think twice, maybe even thrice about buying whatever it is, because you're going to look at your wallet and be like, I only have so much money for the month. Do I really want to buy this thing? Can it wait a few days? Is it something that I actually need or something that I just want? Will I maybe be able to find something better down the line? Those kind of questions you end up asking yourself. And one thing I found is it strengthens your willpower. You aren't going to be as weak-willed when it comes to buying unnecessary things, especially if you can almost debate with yourself and say, look, if I don't buy this now, I can maybe add this money to next month's spending budget because it rolls over, and maybe buy something even better next month, or maybe just find an alternative. I've mentioned it previously, but the example I always use here is buying a takeaway coffee from an expensive coffee place like Starbucks or VDE Cafe, which is literally my weakness. Instead of buying it at those particular places, a good alternative would be to take that money, pool it with some of your other spending money, and go buy a bag of filter coffee, or go buy some chocolate sauce or something to sprinkle over your own homemade coffee. to make it a bit more fun for yourself. So you'll get that decadence of it feeling like an expensive restaurant or takeaway coffee from a high-end place, but actually you're just making it at home, and you can make more because you get more worth out of buying all these things where you can make it yourself several times over instead of spending a little bit less and only getting one out of that. The next section is self-care and skincare routines. One thing I will definitely say is that they have picked up a lot. I tend to do my own nails for fun, which is very relaxing to me because it's very methodical. And my hair has been something that I have maintained fairly well. I actually went for a trim a few weeks ago and plan on re-dyeing it in October for a wedding. But basically I maintain it at home because it's blue, and I dye it and treat it and take care of it and things at home. So that has been a fun routine for me. My skincare was a bit bad last time, but this time it's definitely picked up because I do it morning and night as a way to basically energize myself up for the day in the morning or wind down and relax at night. And to me, routines give me structure. They give me a routine, for lack of a better term. But to me, the consistency of practicing that routine just helps me mentally. I don't know how, but it's some form of self-care by even just sticking to those routines, because they just give me a sense of comfort. I don't know if I can properly articulate it, but having these routines in the morning and at night do a lot for my mental health, because at night I tend to journal and get all my excess thoughts out, and in the morning I tend to just want to wake up slowly. So waking up and looking at myself in the mirror as I apply these things and maybe just going through my own mental list for the day, it's very structured, and I like that because a lot of the times during the day other people bombard us with their problems, so to speak, or even just their emotions. So being able to have this time in the morning to just almost solidify myself and be like, it's okay to feel like this, or pep myself up for the day in the morning like you've got this, that's always been fun, especially because this COVID fatigue that we are going through now, it's exhausting. And I was just reminded that it's 2021. We've been in this COVID thing for almost 2 years, and it's felt like a blur, which is horrifying to think that 2 years of your life has flown by and you've been literally isolated, which is horrendous. Having something to focus on in a positive way, that's what I'm going for. So usually I would stop there, but I've added a 6th goal, and this is to do with creativity. My goal is to add doing something creative each month, and this was something I actually previously did with my best friend, who I will be continuing this with. We did it a couple of years ago where we would send each other projects that we were working on, be it audio, be it writing, whatever, just something creative that we were doing, we would send and get feedback on and things like that. The goal is to basically, for me at least, do something creative and pass it on in order to get some feedback or some advice, anything productive and constructive in terms of creativity. For me, this podcast is a form of creativity, which is nice, but I do enjoy writing, so getting feedback on that would be awesome. But also just being proud of being willing to give my work away and to receive someone else's work is a major thing that I'm really, really proud of, because as a creative person, I understand how difficult it is to show others your creative work, because it does generally open up one to criticism. Being the perfectionist that I am, it's hard to be happy with the work in and of myself, but then still have the feelings and the being okay with actually passing it on to someone and opening it up to that criticism is hard. So I'm really proud of myself and of my friend to be willing to do that. I know he's listening at the moment, so very proud of you. Very proud. That aside, the goal is to be creative, and I would definitely encourage you to do something like this as well. It might not be something in the creative sphere, such as painting, writing, drawing, art, whatever. It could actually be something different, like cooking. That is a form of creativity. baking. It could even be something like building something like furniture or something as small as origami. Whatever it is, you figure it out. Even doing Minecraft houses or Sims houses. Creativity is creativity. It is a completely subjective field. So it's whatever you choose to do. Do it. It's the best thing that you can possibly do for yourself. So that was my goals. I have been getting better, but the next 3 months of the year is basically my last final sprint. It's the equivalent of my end of year, and I really want to put all my effort into going for these goals because I've basically planned a holiday for myself for my birthday next year, and I want to use that as a reward for achieving these goals. Wish me luck, because I'm going to put in a lot of effort to make it worth it for myself. And that's another thing. Set these goals for yourself. Have a reward for yourself as well. It's pointless working towards something and not getting something out. So do that. To end off, the song of this week is Get Into It Yeah by Doja Cat. If you haven't heard the song, go do it. It's off her latest album. It is a complete earworm, but it's gonna give you motivation for whatever it is. And it has done so for me. So go listen to it. That is it from me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have anything to say about it, criticisms, constructive or not, please leave it down below in the comment section. If you want to see what I'm up to, you can check out my Instagram, which I will definitely be more active on. And as per usual, keep being a better being. I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.